when we say that tonight's edition of our nation's sports show is action-packed. We wasn't lying. In the last couple of days, the National Football League has experienced its own March Madness of frenzy, and free agency is just getting started. In the last couple of days, there have been some shocking trades and some stunning signings to conference rival teams. Tomorrow, on March the 13th, the NFL's league season begins, as officially teams will be able to put pen to paper to their new acquisitions. Next week, on March the 21st, the single greatest tournament in sports history gets underway. March Madness is just around the corner. From the first four to the final four, all the way to the national championship game, our nation's sports show has you covered all tournament long. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for an action-packed edition of the sports show? It's showtime.
Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up.
Good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Oh, yes. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is another edition of our Nation Sports Show live here on YouTube.com. What is going on, everybody out there? I am your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand. And before I get to my co-host for this evening, we got to plug the social media platforms. Up first on the old Twitter machine at @ON_sports show. Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both at Our Nation Sports Show, where we are live right now on YouTube. And of course, at the Instagram at ON Sports Show. And also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, and everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. It is at the Nation's Corner. And joining me tonight to talk about one of the busiest weeks that I can think of in quite some time in the National Football League is my buddy. He is a fellow Washington Commanders fan who I know is very excited for some of the acquisitions that his team has gotten in the last couple of days. And I know he's excited to be here tonight because we are hosting a very action-packed, busy edition of the program. And joining me tonight is JT, Joey Thornton. What's going on, Joey?
What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Tuesday. And yes, I am back tonight after having to miss last week due to some personal reasons. But I am here. We got a lot to talk about. We got some NFL free agency stuff to talk about. We got baseball starting up here in just about a little under a month. We got March Madness kicking off here in just over a week with Selection Sunday on this upcoming Sunday. And, of course, we got to plug a little bit of NBA and possibly a little bit of wrestling. Because, you know, we got to talk about some wrestling in some sort of way. So, with all that being said, I just got one thing to say to everybody or ask everybody. Are you ready? I said, no. Are you ready? Let's get it on, baby.
Yes, let's get it on, shall we? Because, I don't know what went on. Oh, wait, I do. There was a lot lot of signings, of trades that went on in the National Football League within the last 48 to 72 hours. I mean, where do you want to start, Joey? I mean, there's a lot that went on. I mean, starting with Russell Wilson, obviously, reports came out last week that he, was going to be traded away from Denver, and they have found a partner to trade him to, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is now going to the Steel City. Crazy.
Well, I would definitely say one thing real quick, and that's the fact that Denver is pure garbage. Denver is
pretty much
pure garbage for allowing this to happen. I mean, they pretty much let Russell Wilson walk for a cheap freaking penny. I mean, get with the program, Denver. What the heck are you doing right now? And not only that, but the fact that they traded one of their best wide receivers that they have on that roster right now, which is Jerry Jeudy, to the Cleveland Browns for a couple of draft picks and a bag of chips. I mean, come on. You're pretty much giving Deshaun Watson another elite threat to throw to other than Amari Cooper. And what does Denver get in return? A couple of draft picks? Please. Denver is stinking up the joint right now when it comes to this whole free agency thing. And to my knowledge, I don't think they've made any big moves here in this free agent market. But gee, I wonder why that is. Oh yeah, that's right. It's the fact that they're paying Russell Wilson $37 million to be the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. You pay all that money to an opposing team for their quarterback, that's the reason why you're not making any big moves, because you don't have the freaking cap space. And Broncos fans can say all they want about, oh, well, Russell Wilson wasn't doing much of anything anyways, and neither was Jerry Jeudy. That's because you didn't give him much of a chance. I mean, I'll admit, I had all the respect in the world for you Broncos fans last year whenever y'all were able to get Sean Payton as your head coach, because I know that was a little bit of a stretch. But now, I mean, the fact that you're letting Russell Wilson walk away for a cheap penny and trading one of your best receivers and getting a couple of draft picks and a bag of chips in return, plus letting your ownership just do whatever the heck he wants to do, which obviously is not working out. So, Denver, all I got to say is enjoy the cellar this upcoming NFL year, because that's where you're heading.
You know where they're also heading, Joey? Somewhere they haven't been to in a while. The four corners of the basement.
Yep.
I mean, when you get rid of you, now I know. I mean, we all know because you, Kevin, myself, and Ezra and Randy in the last couple of years have made countless jokes on this show about the Broncos and how that first year with Nathaniel Hackett went, because let's be honest, it was not a good year. It was not a good year at all. And
that was a freaking nightmare on Elm Street.
That was the sequel in 2022, and that movie came out as soon as the season started a couple years ago, and then Nathaniel Hackett gets fired, and it's funny because Sean Payton talked all of that hot garbage, and rightly so, about how the Broncos were doing in that first year with Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach, and it's so coincidence how Hackett gets fired. And in comes Sean Payton, here's a guy who talks so much trash about Russell Wilson and how underachieving their season was in 22 and going into 23. Sean Payton thought that he could turn it around, And then and for the first 5 weeks, it was the same old story, same old song and dance, my friends. And and including a 70-20 beatdown, utter destruction by the Dolphins in week 3. And now, even though the first half of the year for the Broncos and Wilson was a Rocky Mountain way and all that type of stuff. I mean, eventually Russell did turn it around, and they went on like a 6-7 game winning streak, and they were in playoff contingency, and he was playing better football, and Peyton was still not satisfied because he's looking at the bulk of it, going, okay, the majority of your time in Denver it wasn't good. Now I understand the first year wasn't good; it was humiliating, but come on, you gotta give him a fair chance because he did better in the second year compared to his first year. And I know you agree with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he tossed for 28 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. So I call that a good year.
Yeah, I think overall the success for last year was better for Wilson, but he got the short end of the stick, and he's going away from Denver now to his third NFL team and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steel City. And there were some Steelers fans, including one of my favorite YouTubers, Urinating Tree. Tree posted a thing on Twitter that said, "Steeler Nation, let's ride." And this was before the news came down. There was just rumors floating around. And when the rumors popped out, I just literally was laughing my ass off out loud. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, if this happens, this is going to be hilarious. The fact that he could be going to a team that has a head coach of Mike Tomlin who has not had a losing season. Could you imagine if Russell Wilson is the guy that is responsible for Mike Tomlin finishing a season under 500?
Dang.
I mean, no offense, we would have figured that Mitchell Trubisky would have been that guy.
We figured Kenny Pickett would have been that guy.
Yes. Unbelievable. But he goes to Pittsburgh, and he said, he's looking forward. He's grateful to be in with the Steelers, and who knows what's going to happen. I mean,
who knows?
But that Ravens Steelers game is going to be juicy.
Oh yeah, and speaking of which, while we're still on the Steelers, let's talk a little bit about one of their newest, biggest signings that happened literally just earlier this afternoon, with former Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen joining the Steelers on a 3-year, $41 million deal.
That's a nice pickup for Pittsburgh, and it's funny that was a nice transition, I must say. With talking about the Steelers and Ravens matchup being juicy, for next season because of the quarterbacks being involved in Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson, and now that you add Queen going from Baltimore to their biggest arch rivals in Pittsburgh, that right there is going to make the games even more competitive now because, I mean, in his mind and in his right, he felt that he deserved to get paid by Baltimore because, let's be honest, Joey, he had a great season last year with Baltimore, and he was one of the few players on that defensive side of the ball that was responsible for them having one of the best records in the National Football League last season.
That's right. He, along with I can never get this guy's last name pronounced correctly, but Matabuke, that's a rough estimate. But he, along with Patrick Queen, anchored that Baltimore Ravens defense last year. And the fact that they were able to really just give quarterbacks nightmares week in and week out. I mean, Baltimore is still on its way up. And seeing as how we're going to begin to another huge signing by Baltimore here in just a little bit. The fact that Baltimore is not phased by their early playoff exit. The fact that they are just still looking up at this point in time makes Baltimore a dangerous team, and they're going to be a dangerous team at least for the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, they are going to be a dangerous team for the next couple of years because, again, just in case if you're living under a rock, the news came down earlier today at around, I don't know, about 1 o'clock Eastern, that Derrick Henry, the king, who was the king of the Titans rushing attack in Nashville, Tennessee for the last several years, he is now a Baltimore Raven. And that right there just puts that Ravens offense over the top. And when you put Henry in the backfield with Lamar Jackson, who just won the NFL MVP award last year, this right here, folks, is put up or shut up for Baltimore next season. They have no excuses because now that you have the best pound for pound running back on your team, there is no reason why you can and will not be back in the AFC Championship game, let alone the Super Bowl next year in Super Bowl 59.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's no excuses right now. I mean, as great as a season as that Jackson had last year, now that you have the number one definitive, not just first down and second down back, folks, Derrick Henry is a third down running back. Derrick Henry can even go 4 downs if they needed to. He is that dangerous. And he's one of the best blocking running backs in the NFL as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Derrick Henry has all that athleticism, and he has that muscle, and he is not afraid to use it.
It's definitely not that muscle of love, folks. It's that muscle of destruction. I mean, just the way Henry he is so aggressive, and the way he attacks, the line of scrimmage, and he's very underappreciated, in my opinion, with his blocking abilities.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce another topic in regards to NFL. And the reason why I'm introducing this in this order is because I feel like this is definitely a topic that needs to be discussed. But of course, before I get to that topic, let's get to one of the big news or definitely one of the biggest news that came out yesterday. And that is the fact that former New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley finally got the long-term deal he was hoping for, but the only killer is it's not with New York. It's with their crosstown rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles.
This was a complete surprise.
Definitely a complete surprise because Houston at that time was pushing hard to try to sign Saquon Barkley, and I didn't blame them at that time. And even though they were able to miss out on Saquon, they were able to get another key running back here, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. But now on to the topic that I feel that needs to be discussed, and that is the fact that over the past few years, both Baltimore and Philadelphia have not been afraid to use their dual threat quarterbacks. And of course, for those of y'all that do not know what dual threat means, that means it is a quarterback that can pass and run, in case you've been living under a rock. But my question to you, Steven, is now that the Eagles have landed Saquon Barkley, and now that the Baltimore Ravens have landed one of the biggest muscle speed bags of them all in Derrick Henry, does that mean that Baltimore and Philly are going to have to readjust their offenses to make them seem more like a pass-first offense with their quarterbacks? Or do you think they're still going to rely on the dual threats of Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson?
I honestly think that that's going to affect these two teams in different ways. I think with Lamar, he's going to be the same guy that we've been accustomed to, no matter who the running back is. But with Jalen Hurts, I think that it's going to be a different situation because I think that Hurts is I think that they're going to try to make him into a pocket passer, and I mean, when you try to get a quarterback out of his tendencies that he's been doing for the past 4 years since he's been in the league, it's hard to break that. And Lamar, I think he's easily adjustable, you know, because last year he became kind of a pocket passer, and he got better at looking downfield and looking at all of his targets, but then going through his progressions and all that type of stuff. So it will be interesting, I think, to see how these two teams do next season. Now, what do you think? I mean, I think that they're both going to be affected in ways, but I think it's going to be more so in Philadelphia.
I honestly agree with your statement because the fact that Lamar Jackson is the ultimate dual threat player that you can have on your team. I mean, yes, Derrick Henry really hasn't gotten the rushing yards per carry and attempts that he has had ever since or whenever he first came into the NFL. But there's no denying that Derrick Henry is still a beast. And he's always going to be a beast until he decides to hang up the cleats. Now, from the Ravens' perspective, yes, I do see them using both Jackson and Henry as versatile running back threats. And honestly, given how much Baltimore likes to run the ball, it would not surprise me if both of these guys get almost 1,000 yards each. It will not surprise me because Baltimore, yes, they do like to pass, but it seems like they have become more of a run-first offense over the past couple years. And the fact now that now that Lamar Jackson has an elite running back to hand off to, not saying that Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins weren't elite or decent players, but now Jackson has somebody elite that he can hand off to. A guy who is not afraid to get the extra yardage, a guy who's not afraid to be, catching passes out of the backfield when necessary. As a matter of fact, if anything, this greatly helps Lamar Jackson because not only is he going to be handing off the ball to Derrick Henry on several occasions, but whenever Lamar Henry decides to take off down the field for a scramble, he'll have a great blocker helping him out like Derrick Henry. Because, as I mentioned, Derrick Henry has that athleticism and he has that muscle and he is not afraid to use it. So it will not surprise me if whenever Lamar Jackson takes off on a scramble, whenever he does, that Derrick Henry is not used as a blocker. Now, from the Philadelphia Eagles standpoint, Jalen Hurts, I know that he is not afraid to use his legs whenever he needs to. And he can get some pretty good yardage. I will give him that. And I'm not saying that he's taken a step back, but in a way, I also am saying that he has taken a step back. Because not just Jalen Hurts himself, but the Philadelphia Eagles as a franchise, they went downhill last year in the second half of the regular season.
Yes, they did.
They went downhill. And it all started when they got their butts kicked all over the field by the 49ers back in that Week 13 matchup. Ever since that game, the Eagles really took a step back. And now that they have lost two of their best players on the team right now, with both center Jason Kelce and former defensive end Fletcher Cox both announcing their retirements, it honestly makes me wonder if Philadelphia is going to take even more of a step back. Yes, they have loaded up here in the offseason, especially with the addition of Saquon Barkley, of course. And I feel like that is a great signing by Philadelphia, and I think it's going to pay dividends. But it honestly makes me wonder what Nick Sirianni, as well as the coaches for Philadelphia, are going to have up their sleeve this year. Because Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. I'll give him that. And Saquon Barkley is a great running back. But I don't know. It's just trying to find the right words to say here. It's almost like I'm feeling a little bit concerned as to what Philadelphia is going to do this year, because if they come out this upcoming year and play like they did in the second half of the regular season last year, then Philadelphia's not going to go anywhere. However, if they find what happened and if they fix those mistakes and if they utilize the play calling to a much better level, then yeah, they could very well once again be a threat in the entire NFC, in the entire NFL, especially come playoff time. But I just feel like I need to see a little bit of consistent production for Philadelphia. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to be a bad team, because they're not, because they have the team on paper to guide them to the promised land once again. But a piece of paper can only tell so much of a story. So, bottom line, I feel like this is going to greatly affect Philadelphia, and hopefully they can still address some free agency needs, and if not free agency, then definitely the NFL draft coming up next month. But
and talking about Philadelphia losing a key piece, they lost DeAndre Swift.
Yes, they did. They lost DeAndre Swift. I mean, yeah, I consider the Saquon Barkley signing a little bit of an upgrade over DeAndre Swift, but still, Swift is still a great running back. And Chicago is going to be very, very beneficial for him, I feel like.
My biggest problem with Barkley going to Philadelphia is, can he stay healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Because the ghosts and the doubters and the ghost of memories of people remembering him, for his injured plague seasons, and when he had that one good year in New York, and then the next several years he couldn't even stay healthy. And with Philadelphia, he's got to stay healthy, because Philadelphia still has those great receivers, but now the pressure is going really on Philadelphia now to make a move out of the NFC, because as long as San Francisco can stay, consistent and all that, I don't see Philadelphia making it out of the NFC. It's going to depend on the offensive line. How can they stay healthy, and also how's Barkley going to be throughout the season, because they cannot, the money they sign him, now it's up to him to go out there and perform.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So, with that being said, where do you want to go to now? As far as, because there's a lot that went on. Lot that went on.
Well, why don't we switch up divisions once again and talk about some great running back some other great running back signings that took place, and definitely one of the biggest is what happened up in Ezra's favorite arch rival, the Green Bay Packers, signing former Las Vegas Raider Josh Jacobs to a 4-year, $48 million contract, which pretty much solidified the fact that Aaron Jones was told to go kick the curb. But it didn't take Aaron Jones long to find a new home, because he has signed a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes, he has. And again, there's that common thread, that common theme of former respected players from their former teams going to their arch rivals organization. And speaking of the Vikings, there was a huge signing that happened yesterday with Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta.
Yep. 4 years, $180 million.
And $100 million of that money is guaranteed.
So yeah, that is definitely a huge move for Atlanta. And the fact that Atlanta has been able to add to their offensive core by getting former Chicago Bear Darnell Mooney to agree to a 3-year contract now puts Atlanta in a pretty good position right now, at least on the offensive side of the ball, because you got Kirk Cousins as your quarterback. You got an up-and-coming Bijan Robinson as your running back. You got 2 great threats in Drake London and now Darnell Mooney to throw to. And you also got up-and-coming tight end Kyle Pitts.
What's going on, Randy? How you doing, man?
What's up, Randy?
And Randy says here in the chat he is sad about losing Josh Jacobs, and he said once a Raider, always a Raider.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. But as much as Atlanta's offense is looking better on paper, I still have one major question.
What's that?
And my question is, over the past couple of years, one of the biggest weak spots on the Atlanta Falcons offense is that offensive line. So
yes,
now that they have a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, does that mean that Atlanta needs to bolster their offensive line so they can protect him? Because keep in mind, Kirk Cousins is coming off an injury last year.
Yes. And I'm not just saying yes because of the injury part, but I'm also saying yes because it's a resounding yes, because the Falcons need to bulk up that offensive line.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, because the Achilles heel in Atlanta's offense was 2 things last year: was the offensive line and Desmond Ridder, the inconsistency of his quarterback play. Now that Kirk Cousins is in Atlanta, that's a good signing for Atlanta, because that adds credibility to the NFC South. And speaking of the NFC South, oh boy, there was some money thrown around with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after they signed Mike Evans last week. They have now got Baker Mayfield back on the team for good.
Yep, and they were able to re-sign Mike Evans and also bring back Levante David for a 13th NFL season.
Critical defensive piece on that team.
But I'm kind of curious about one team in the NFC South, and yes, Steve, I'm talking about your favorite team, the Carolina Panthers.
Wrong.
But what the heck is Carolina doing? Because
you know what? I'll tell you what they're doing. They're doing absolutely nothing.
I mean, unless they are trying to copy the Oklahoma City Thunder in regards to getting a whole bunch of draft picks at one time, but at the same time, you've traded away over the past few years. You've traded away pure elite talent. I mean, a year and a half ago, you traded one of the best running backs in the game, Christian McCaffrey, and now he's tearing it up in the Bay Area. And now, all of a sudden, you trade Brian Burns and you let Frankie Louvu, as well as the other players, walk away. I mean, Panthers, what are y'all doing? Help me out, because I don't get it.
Joey, I cannot. I can't explain this team. I can't even explain them.
If anything, since they're your favorite,
First of all, again, you're wrong. Second of all, I can't even explain this fan base of Carolina. One minute they're like, "Yay, sunshine and rainbows." Next minute they're like, "Fire the coach."
Right.
And Randy says here in the chat, he says Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby are going to beat the hell out of Patrick Mahomes next season. Can't wait. That's a great signing. That's a great point by you, Randy, because Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins, 4 years, $110 million. That's definitely a good signing.
Yes, Randy, I agree with you that the Panthers are somehow going even more backwards.
Yeah, well,
Crazy.
Panthers, what do you expect? They put all their faith in a fraud named Scam Newton for so long.
Yep. And speaking of the Panthers, in a weird segue, former Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold is going to the Vikings.
Yep. So, if Minnesota thinks that letting Kirk Cousins walk and thinking that Sam Darnold is going to be your true answer, yeah, you got another thing coming, Minnesota. You got another thing coming.
Yes, Randy, Panthers. They suck. Panthers? You kidding me? Panthers? Panthers?
I'm telling you what. I hope the Panthers enjoyed their time in the cellar because that's where they're going to be again this year.
Yeah, they're definitely not coming out of the cellar, that's for sure.
I mean, I almost feel sorry for Bryce Young right now.
I don't, because the ownership is a complete, utter garbage, and they thought that Bryce Young was better than CJ Stroud. Ha! Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, oh, and great segue right there. Kapow! The Texans get a nice running back addition, and former Bengals running back Joe Mixon.
That's right. They may, that's right. Texas may have missed out on Saquon Barkley, but they got Joe Mixon, and he's just as good as Saquon Barkley. So,
and you got Nico Collins on the outside there, and you got Tank Dell on the outside. I mean, you got those two great receivers.
And plus you got Noah Brown coming back as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just unbelievable.
And not to mention you got Dalton Schultz coming back too.
Yep, that's right. I think he got a 3-year deal.
He did. 3 years.
So, yeah, lots of teams are making moves, and well, I say a lot, but there is one particular team that is not making any moves at all. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Wait. As a matter of fact, I believe the one team that you were talking about, they actually are making moves, but not the moves that you may not expect.
No.
These are moves that, well, are trying to draw people away because these certain players' families can not keep their freaking mouth shut.
This is true.
I'm talking about Dak Prescott's family, CeeDee Lamb's family, and Michael Parsons' family from the Dallas Cowturds.
Hey, I got a great idea there, Joey. Let's get a reality show started on the Dallas Cowboys. Book it. That's the only success the Cowboys will have. That the only and also to add what Ezra likes to say, the only times you'll see rings being celebrated in Dallas land is at a wedding.
Right?
Let's get a reality show starring the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, come on, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders already have a reality show, so why not give the Dallas Cowboys players a reality show? I'm sure it'll bring in some big bucks. Not.
Oh my God! Like ever since that just incredible, unbelievable collapse of epic proportions in the wild card round against the Packers after getting whooped. And Jerry Jones said, yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. Back to what? Back to failing again? Because judging by these off-season moves you've so far made, which has been next to none, You let Tony Pollard walk? Are you serious? Getting rid of Ezekiel Elliott was one thing because he hadn't, been, the definitive guy since Pollard came onto the scene. But Tony Pollard is a proven running back success. You let him walk.
Yep, and you just let him walk away. And not to mention, not only did you lose your running back, but you've also lost one of your best edge rushers who was playing alongside Micah Parsons, and you lost your center. And not to mention, you lost your freaking. Yes, and not to mention, you lost two former defensive coordinators. One that was just there this past year. I mean, I swear Dallas is just being pathetic right now, and everybody else in the NFC East is bulking up.
It's unbelievable. I mean, when you look at what the Cowboys have done, and it's been absolutely lazy in this offseason. I mean, you got all these other teams in Philadelphia and Green Bay and the Patriots and the Vikings and the Falcons, the Chiefs, all these other teams. A lot of these teams are already making moves. And what is Dallas doing? Nothing. I mean, you let Tony Pollard walk. And mind you, that awful contract by Dak Prescott. My question to you, Joey, is what in God's name, what in the hell is Dallas going to do when they need to ink up Prescott to another contract, and when you got CeeDee Lamb and you got Michael Parsons down there in Cowboys country that are looking for long-term contracts? Oh, wait, you can't sign 3 top-tier players to maximum contracts unless 1 or 2 of those players take a significant amount of pay cut.
Yeah. You try pulling Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Parsons into a room and tell them that at least 2 of them are going to be taking or are going to have to take a pay cut in order to stay with the team. Yeah. That room's going to scatter real quick because none of those players, and I mean none of those players, are going to want to take a pay cut. None of them.
It is just absolutely hilarious that the Cowboys let Tony Pollard walk to the Tennessee Titans.
I mean, Dallas could have had the cap space to really try to find somebody. I mean, they were linked to players such as Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs. They were linked to, of course, Derrick Henry. But Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, they know for a fact that they cannot afford those players right now. And ladies and gentlemen,
he's back.
Making a surprise appearance. Let's welcome the one and only Mr. Randy Gyron. What is going on, bro?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on, big man?
How are you guys? You guys doing all right?
We're doing good. We're doing
fine. How about yourself, dude?
I'm here. I'm making it, dude. I'm making it. I just thought I'd stop in for a minute. I'm going to talk about some of this little free agency stuff.
I mean, we're doing a lot better than them Cowboys fans are right now.
Right?
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know you're happy with your Raiders, doing what they're doing now, even though you lost Josh Jacobs, and you made a nice acquisition by getting Gardner Minshew, and that's a nice pickup because he is a proven, veteran who can make moves in the NFL.
Yes,
without a doubt.
Yes, and not to mention y'all's biggest move that you happen to bring up in the chat, and that is the fact that having Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby on the same defense, talk about trouble.
Yeah, Mahomes, he won't know what hit him. Thankfully, no. I told you Max Crosby was going to take care of it. He got some help now, so I'm happy to hear that. But I just wanted to rant for a minute. I want to do like an old-fashioned Kevin rant. I want to talk about the Carolina Panthers. if I can. And I know there's a couple guys in there. They're just,
Have
and
fun,
Steven, I
Randy.
know
The floor is all yours, brother.
it's your favorite team and all that.
No.
But I'm gonna rant on. Never
Go
in the
ahead. I don't
history,
care.
never in the history of ever has a team been so bad and then not drafted in the first with the first pick in a draft since never. And it's unbelievable that this fan base that you were talking about, the fan base is delusional. I mean, they see it, they see the writing on the wall for all this stuff, but how do you let that happen? If you're in management and leadership and anything with the Panthers, I mean, they had McCaffrey, they had Brian Burns, and they had DJ Moore, and they let them all go before they were even 26 years old. That's a problem. That's a
It's a
problem.
huge problem.
I wouldn't give them a dime of my money if I was a Panther fan. So, you're gonna have to put away your pom poms for a while, Steven. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, my brother, my pom poms have been gone away for years. I mean, this
No,
team is the this team is
know.
the
Come on,
epitome of
Steven.
dumpster fire. They are the
Dumpster
team
fire
of the
is not
four
even.
corners of the basement. That's where they
Come
belong.
on, Steven.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
your Carolina Panther jerseys, and I've seen your blue and black pom poms.
Hey! That's actually when Cam Newton wasn't a scam artist. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Cam Newton's always been a
That's
scam
all good,
artist.
man. It's all good, Steven. I'm a Raider fan. I understand. I'm a Raider fan. I understand, my friend. But yeah,
I mean, come on. At least your team has
it.
actually had success. At least they won Super Bowls. That's something the Panther
Right,
fans don't know about it. Oh, we're going to Super Bowl. Yeah, you can with the use of SeatGeek.
That's right. That's right. I saw somebody I know, and I saw they had a Cam Newton jersey on, and I said, "Hey, man," I said, "Would you have jumped on that fumble?" And he said, "Oh my God, yes." I was like, "Yeah."
Exactly.
He's just he's just a good dude. He knows the significance of it all. I don't want to talk about it. Unbelievable. That's just what that franchise has to deal with, and I feel bad
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Big T, Big T's usually in the chat room, and he's probably hiding his head right now. If he is,
He probably is.
I'm sorry, buddy, but I just had to get on here.
To add on the point, Randy, you said on the fact that Carolina Panther fans are delusional. I'm honestly starting to believe it. I mean, if I didn't believe it before, I'm really starting to believe it now, because there was apparently a rumor going around that Carolina Panther fans were like, "No way, is this really gonna happen?" Literally, there was a rumor going around, and Panther fans were believing the fact that San Francisco was going to give Brandon Ayuk to the Carolina Panthers, and I'm like, what?
That's crazy.
That's never gonna happen.
And I don't know if you guys know this to keep adding on, but Jeremy Chin went to your Commanders, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did. Yes,
So
he
I mean,
did.
that's the only other guy that was worth anything on that team. He was like,
and we also got Frankie Louvu as well.
Right? Yeah, he was Rookie of the Year. I mean, at two different positions. He played two different positions. One year, he was All Pro, and 1 year he was Rookie of the Year, and they let him walk. I don't know.
Leave it at one team
on a 3-year deal. So that's definitely a huge pickup.
Yeah, definitely.
Just unbelievable.
I guess they're doing something right. They made me so mad that I hijacked the show. I mean, they must be doing something right.
Mike's proud of that, Randy. Mike is proud of that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good or bad, But and real quick, I'm tired of the league and all the teams feeling sorry for the Houston Texans, because last year in the draft they let them have the first, the second, and third pick, and they took the Rookie of the Year and the Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, back to back, and now this year they're just like, here, have Joe Mixon.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Houston is shaping up to be a threat.
Houston is going to be good
If
for
they
a
haven't
long
figured it out
time.
already.
Who
And
would
we
have
won't even talk
thought
about
that?
yeah.
Who would have thought that?
No,
Because
yeah,
Lovie Smith won his last game with the Texans against the Colts
yeah,
as their head coach. Who would have thought that he would put them in prime position to draft two of their cornerstones to this young team's franchise? And now you got D'Amico Ryans, who in their second year has already made a splash on the offensive side of the ball by getting Mixon. And
right.
Cincinnati is falling hard at the seams right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Cincinnati. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there either.
You
You
got T.
know,
Higgins requesting to be traded, even though he is franchise tagged. If they lose him, that is two cornerstones of that offense gone.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Now
Yeah,
Zach
absolutely.
Moss, this player to sleep on. I mean, I've always thought the Raiders could use him big time. I always liked his game. Zach Moss is a great player.
He
You know,
is.
when he's healthy, he's something. I think he'll do good in Cincinnati, but man, I don't know. They're going backwards. And Minnesota's going backwards, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, a lot of teams are making some big strides, and a lot of teams are taking a big step back.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
talking about a team who took a step back last year, and that's the Patriots. And obviously in the offseason, we were wondering, what were they going to do with Mac Jones? And obviously Jerome Mayo and company had other plans. And that's why
Right,
Mac Jones is no longer with the Patriots, and now he's gone to the Jaguars as Trevor Lawrence's backup.
right,
Yep.
and that helps out Jacksonville too because I'll be honest with you. Mac Jones, I think, can still play. If you were to told me like the Raiders got Mac Jones, I wouldn't be too mad about it. I mean, because he's still got an upside. I think. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of the guys no, but I think he'll be doing great there. And real quick to piggyback off that, the Gardner Minshew signing is great because I think, and it's weird to say if you think about it, but he is a Raider. Minshew's a Raider. Like in the way he handles himself and living out of his van and shit. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
not giving a junk about stuff and not caring. And he's a maverick. Like they say, and I really really think he'll do good. I think they're gonna either pretty soon here move up. I think they're gonna move up and take Jaden Daniels. To be honest, I hope that would be nice because
You might have some competition there, boy, because my
right,
commanders are
that's
looking
true.
at Jaden Daniels too.
Right, I know. But Daniels has ties to Antonio Pierce when he played at
Yeah,
Arizona
he does.
State. So they're gonna push. They're gonna push there, Joseph. Whoever gets him is gonna get, a stud.
Oh yeah,
So
sure.
both teams will be well off with that. But if and I think it'd be weird if the Commanders, he's not on the board. Like something happens, and the Commanders take Drake May because I mean that'd be like two North Carolina quarterbacks there 2 years in a
Well, we just
back to
got
back
Marcus
there. I mean,
Mariota on a 1 year deal, so we're pretty much looking to shop Sam Howell at this point.
yeah, and that's crazy. I'll tell you what, I'll take him in Oakland or I call him Oakland because I don't claim Vegas, but I'll take him in a heartbeat. Man, that's what Devontae Adams needs. Somebody throwing that deep ball.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, and
I'll
it's
take
funny
him in a second.
because Hal had that great performance against Dallas. He gets the gig in Washington, and he had a stretch in time last year where he was pretty solid, and then he got cold and was throwing
And
horrible interceptions.
right, and no offense, Joey, but that dude was running for his life half the
Yeah.
time.
Again, the offensive line.
He was on his ass more than he was on his feet.
Yep.
So that's how that goes. But I don't know if my pops is in the chat. Hey, pops, I didn't even look here. Can't look at the chat and be on the phone at the same time on my.
Let's see.
So I don't know.
Is he in the chat? Nope, not yet.
I was gonna say, too bad he's not. His birthday's tomorrow. You guys could have told him happy birthday. Well, hell,
Yes, happy early birthday there, William.
Happy early birthday, sir.
yeah, wherever he's at. Well, I'll tell him to make sure he watches, so you guys give him a shout out or something. But I think you guys got this the rest of the time. I might be coming back on here a little more if that's all right with y'all.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. You're always more than welcome to come on at any time.
I appreciate that, fellas. And yeah, I'm gonna jump off here. But it was nice talking to you guys again, and better than just chatting on in the group chat on YouTube there. So, but I just had to get on here and say a little bit about the free agency and
Hey! Thanks for taking Hijacker's gimmick and hijacking the show. That was great.
yeah, no problem, man.
Michael, be
And
proud about that.
right, and the league also needs to be beat up for the fact the rest of the league needs to be beat up for the fact that they just let Derrick Henry go to the Baltimore Ravens of all teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm leaving with that on that note. I'm like, Frank, man. So yeah, you have the MVP and all that, and they, I mean, me and Joseph and you could have got 1,000 yards last year. They were just killing it. That what's the guy that left? Gus Edwards.
That's
Right?
Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah, Gus Edwards. He's going to the
1,000
Chargers
yards.
now.
Yeah, 1,000 yards. You wouldn't even try him. Most of those guys get 1,000 yards, don't even try him. What's gonna happen when they got somebody back there that's a machine? Built for that stuff, man. Come. That's gonna be bad news. Gonna be bad news. At least the Raiders aren't in the south or the north there. Let everybody else deal with them. So, all right, fellas. Well, it was great talking to y'all. Rock on.
Yep. You too,
Take
brother.
care. Yeah, have a great rest of your show, man.
Yep.
All right, Randy.
Will do.
Have
Thanks,
a good one,
man.
man.
Peace, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, so how about Randy?
I'm
That
still
was
on
awesome.
here. I can't figure out how to get off.
Yeah. You hit that button that says leave.
I don't have it. Where's it at? Where's it at? Nope, it's not letting me. Maybe I'm on the show for the rest of the night. What do you think?
I mean, hey, that's fine by us.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, good. Keep going, guys.
Hey, do it live. Do it live. But yeah, talking about what's going on, with the NFL. I mean, like there's so much happening, and who knows what's going to happen. Like there could be. There he goes.
There he goes.
He found the button. But ladies and gentlemen, that was a nice drive by, a nice hijacking gimmick by Randy right there, taking Mike's spot, and I know Mike is happy about that because somebody had to live the gimmick, brother. But yeah, there's a lot there's a lot that went on, and I mean, talking about some of these moves. I mean, when you look at we touched upon it, but like with the Vikings, like there's going to be a lot of questions surrounding Aaron Jones and his new home in Minnesota and Sam Darnold, or not Darnold, Bradford. My bad.
Yeah, Darnold, you got it right.
Darnold. Okay, yeah, Darnold. Sam Darnold going to the Vikings, and can he stay healthy? Can that O-line stay healthy? Can he get the ball to Justin Jefferson? But Aaron Jones, that's interesting to me. He leaves Green Bay and he goes to Minnesota in the same day.
Yep.
But yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens in these next couple of days because there's a lot that went on. I mean, now my question to you, Joey, is so far in this offseason, and I know we're just getting started because technically the league season begins tomorrow.
Yep.
Who do you think so far has won the offseason so far with some of these early signings?
Well, I could definitely say that definitely one of the biggest winners in this free agency period is most definitely the Houston Texans.
Oh yeah.
The Houston Texans, for sure. And Baltimore is definitely also being considered as a winner right now, as far as what they've done. Yes, they did let Patrick Queen walk, but at the same time, they got Derrick Henry. And no, I am not being biased because they are my team, but based on what we've done so far, I can consider my Commanders being a winner right now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at the players that we've gotten. We've gotten Dorrance Armstrong, an edge rusher from the Cowboys. That's something that we needed. We got somebody to play alongside him and former first-round pick and former San Francisco 49er, Clelin Ferrell, to be his complement. We got
That's
one of the
right.
best up-and-coming linebackers in the game, and Frankie Louvu from the Carolina Panthers. We've gotten a great center in Tyler Badaz from the Dallas Cowboys on a 3-year deal.
Another huge loss for Dallas.
I mean, just recently, whenever Randy was first talking about it, we signed Jeremy Chin to a 1-year deal to
Yep.
help boost up our safety. And of course, the free agent signing that I am most ecstatic about, the fact that we were able to get former LA Chargers running back Austin Eckler to come to Washington on a 2-year deal. Let's go, baby! Gosh, I'm ecstatic about that. Definitely ecstatic.
Absolutely. And talking about, like what's going down the last couple of days and getting Eckler, at running back. Again, that's a huge question mark for the Chargers. Who were they going to get now as their running back? Because let's be honest, they cannot do it all by themselves on the offense with the quarterback.
I actually
with
have
Herbert.
an answer to your question. They were able to get former Baltimore Raven Gus Edwards.
Well, there you go. They got a pretty solid running back right there, and again, you see Dallas. That's how you do it. That's how you make moves. Because see, even though Austin Eckler leaves the Chargers, what do? We'll get the next best running back, Gus Edwards. Who does Dallas have as their running back now? Nobody.
Hey.
And who is the running back you say? It doesn't matter. A nobody. A peon.
Yeah.
That is still the pound for pound. The one team that has lost the most in this offseason so far is the Cowboys.
Yeah, I would say them and the Tennessee Titans right now are considered the biggest losers.
Crazy. And once again, folks, we are live here tonight on YouTube at youtube.com/Nation Sports Show. And we, just in case you missed it, our very own Randy decided to come on the show for a little bit and talk about these signings that has happened in the last 48 to 72 hours. And you can follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook.com/Nation's Corner, and on YouTube.com/The Nation's Corner. And don't forget to check out the show this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, as the guys and gal talk about the week in professional wrestling, as we are on the home stretch to WrestleMania 40 in the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And you can follow us on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook and YouTube.com, both at Our Nation Sports Show, and on the Instagram machine at ON Sports Show. And, we were talking about Joe Mixon leaving Cincinnati. Now, there was rumors floating around that he was going to be released and not traded, but Cincinnati changed their mind and they dealt him to the Texans. Now, with Mixon being gone to Houston, who do you think, Joey, Cincinnati needs to go after to fill up that gap at the running back spot?
You know, that is a really good question, and as hard as it may be to believe, I honestly don't have an answer at this point because all the top-notch running backs are already off the market. So
True.
it will be interesting to see. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the top 100 free agents and see who the best running back is right now. But while I'm getting that pulled up, I just saw a very puzzling and confusing trade that took place. The Steelers, the Steelers have traded Deontay Johnson.
Why?
And guess who they traded him to?
Who?
The Carolina Panthers.
What?
Yes, the Steelers traded Deontay Johnson and a 7th-round pick to the Carolina Panthers for strong safety Dante Jackson and a 6th-round pick.
Oh, what are you doing, Steelers? You're setting up Russell Wilson to fail already.
Tell me about it.
The season hasn't even began. Unbelievable. You bring this guy from Denver, and now you trade away one of their best targets who had an outstanding season last year with Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I mean, I cannot explain these teams, guys. Like, it's crazy. I mean, the Bills let Gabe Davis walk. And I think it's official. He did sign the Jacksonville, correct?
Who?
Gabe Davis. He walked from Buffalo to
3 years, $39 million to Jacksonville for Gabe Davis.
And obviously Calvin Ridley is staying put with Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville's loaded.
Yeah, Jacksonville's loaded. Now, as far as a running back for Cincinnati, well, there's not really that many decent options available. If I had to go with my gut, I would say that probably the best running back that's still out there on the market that could at least be well, obviously the Bengals are going to take a step back because of the remaining running backs that are still on the free agent market. None of them are going to match up to Joe Mixon's potential, but I think the closest one as of right now is Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
I think he's the best chance that Cincinnati has to nab a decent running back at this point.
Now, I know there's been a lot of signings and trades in the NFL the last couple of days or so, but there was a big contract that was signed a couple of days ago. And yes, folks, that is Chris Jones staying put with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
He got paid.
But Kansas City has also suffered a pretty big loss.
Yeah.
Because not only, I mean, obviously Chris Jones, that's definitely a big plus, but as based on what I'm seeing here, as reported about an hour ago, former Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Willie Gay has agreed to a 1-year deal with the New Orleans Saints.
Ooh. And that's a huge defensive piece gone from that team.
Yep. And speaking of the Chiefs, as of our good buddy Adam Schefter, Patrick Mahomes has restructured his contract to create an additional $21.6 million worth of salary cap space for the Chiefs.
Very interesting, and that's something that Tom Brady would have done during his tenure with the Patriots. And Mahomes is following that same trajectory to take a pay cut to get players on the team. And we shall see who the Chiefs go after in this offseason, because folks, I mean, it's been a crazy last couple of days, and it's going to keep getting crazier.
Yeah, it's definitely going to keep getting crazier because we're just getting started, because all these contracts and all these players that are moving will be able to officially join their new teams and sign those contracts tomorrow at 4:00.
And it's interesting, again, and I know we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because again, folks, there's a lot to piggyback off, with this new stuff. I mean, Derrick Henry to me is probably the biggest story of the last couple of days, just because he's going from a team in Tennessee, that had some decent players, but they never had that definitive quarterback. And now that he's going to a team that has the reigning defending MVP in Lamar Jackson, and they got all those receivers, say Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr., Mark Andrews, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now Derrick Henry goes to a place where there's winners on this team, and they have no excuses next year.
Yeah, no excuses. Real quick before we move on, somebody else has hopped into the chat with us, and that is Mr. Randy Gyron's father, Mr. William Gyron. Good evening, sir.
What is going on, William? And happy early birthday.
Yes, happy early birthday, sir.
And we know that William is celebrating because Cleveland's made some moves.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of which, one big move that they made, or I guess you can call it a big move, Deshaun Watson has a backup.
Yep.
And that is in the form of former Tampa Bay Buccaneer quarterback Jameis Winston on a 1-year deal.
Yep. And they also got, I believe they got a wide receiver in there. Yeah, they did. Judy.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy. Because remember when I brought it up, Denver traded him for a bag of chips.
Yep. And that's bad on Denver's part. And you keep Amari Cooper there with Judy. Yeah. Cleveland should have no excuses except for Deshaun Watson. He's got to step it up. Come on. Yeah. You got all that talent around you. Do something.
Yeah, so tell Deshaun Watson stay out of the massage parlors.
Yep.
As much as they help relax your muscles after a game, stay away from them. Sorry.
Very true. Very true. Now, I know the NFL. Oh, and I agree with that, William. Judy might make a huge difference with Cleveland. And William says also here in the chat that he likes the signing. And you're very welcome, William, for the early birthday wishes, my friend.
Yes, you're more than welcome, sir.
And William, just in case you missed it, your son pulled a hijacker move, and he hijacked the show, and it was phenomenal. And you have to, Mike will be very proud about that. He is living the gimmick for once, and he came by, and he got on the show for a little bit. And he informed us about your birthday, and we'll say it again. Happy early birthday, sir.
Happy early birthday, sir.
But I know we can sit here and talk about the NFL all day and all night long, but there's other sports happening around, folks, and there is still some basketball.
Yep, some NBA action is taking place right now as we are buckling here in the second half of the regular season.
Yep, the Celtics last night had a dominant victory. And also Nikola Jokic had a triple-double.
And, of course, we got conference tournaments going on right now in men's college basketball.
Yes, we do.
The famous Selection Sunday is coming up this Sunday on St. Patrick's Day of all days. But we're going to find out which college teams will be playing for the prestigious national championship.
And And March Madness this year is shaping up to be one for the ages because when is it not?
Absolutely.
There's always
The games are going to be starting Tuesday night with the first two games of the first four, and then Wednesday night with the other two games of the first four, and then starting Thursday, I believe it is at noon, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, it is.
Starting all the bracket games.
And I'm not going to be one of those guys that makes a bracket because I know it's going to get busted.
Oh yeah, but it's still fun to make them.
It is. It is. But it will be interesting this year to see what Cinderella team will be putting on them slippers and going to the ball. And
Yep. But yeah, speaking of NBA basketball, we got a few games going on right now, and I happen to have some scores right here. See, 7:35 to go in the second quarter. The New York Knicks are leading the Philadelphia 76ers 36-26. 8:09 to go in the first quarter. We have the Memphis Grizzlies on top of the Washington Wizards early, 8-4. And then 9:13 to go here in the first quarter. The Oklahoma City Thunder are off to a slow start so far, trailing the Indiana Pacers 11-4.
very interesting.
Coming up later tonight, with tip-off here in just about 15 minutes. We got the Houston Rockets going into San Antonio to take on the Spurs. At 9 o'clock, we have the Boston Celtics going on the road to take on the Utah Jazz. At 10 o'clock on TNT, following the coverage of the Knicks and the 76ers, we have a very interesting matchup between two of the top Western Conference teams. The Minnesota Timberwolves going on the road to take on the LA Clippers. And then to wrap up our NBA coverage for the night, we got Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks going on the road to take on De'Aaron Fox and the Sacramento Kings.
It's amazing how Sacramento in the last couple of years has completely changed.
Absolutely. And it's all because of that beam, all because of that purple beam.
Going from the bottom of the NBA, being the laughing stock of the league for years, and now they're one of the top contending teams. Unbelievable. And speaking of the Clippers, I'm still waiting for the day when that comes, when the Clippers decide to give the game away in the playoffs.
Well,
you know it's coming. I mean, come on.
Coming.
James Harden will pull a no-show, and it'll be funny.
And then Paul George's going to have to do it all by himself, which we all know he can't.
Yep. Because when Kawhi's not healthy, they're screwed.
So yeah, we definitely had a lot of NFL to talk about.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And man, it's crazy. It's like the NFL has experienced their own March Madness frenzy. Yep. It definitely hit the ground running for sure. I mean, it's been crazy the last couple of days. And like you said, if we went through every single signing that's happened the last couple of days, we will be here for another 2.5, 3 hours.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, everybody for the most part has made moves, and we talked about it briefly how Chicago made a move to get DeAndre Swift, and I'm telling you, that's a huge piece of that offense.
Yeah, that is definitely a huge piece because Chicago has had some inconsistencies with their running game as of late, but DeAndre Swift is a good pickup.
And if the offensive line can stay healthy, and they got receivers now, they got a running back now. I mean, this is the thing that drives me crazy with some of these teams is they don't know how to stay the course. Because think about it, every great quarterback from Mahomes to Brady, sorry Randy, Brady and Manning and Rodgers and Breeze and Mahomes have all experienced growing pains when it comes to, players, being young and everything not going your way in the first year or so. You have to trust the system and trust the process that the coaches are going to put you in the right spot to be successful. And Chicago now has made some significant pieces, acquisitions in the last couple of years. And I honestly think, Joey, the best thing for Chicago to do is to stay the course with Justin Fields, because you have to give him another year. This is the year. This is the year where Justin Fields needs to show out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But as long as Chicago holds that number one pick in the NFL draft, there's definitely going to be some questions roaming about.
Yes, there will be.
And of course, that big question is going to be, is Chicago going to move on from Justin Fields to go after the hotshot young star Caleb Williams from USC? Or is Chicago going to trade that number one overall pick to somebody and keep Justin Fields?
Because
So
if they get a defensive player or a running back or a receiver, that tells me right there that they're keeping their quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And talking about teams in that conference, piggyback to the Green Bay Packers and getting, Josh Jacobs to that 4-year deal. I mean, as good as Aaron Jones has been, honestly, Josh Jacobs is a solid pickup. But
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Jones, when he was focused with Green Bay and he was healthy, nobody could stop him. And Josh Jacobs is kind of the same way too. But I will be curious to see how Jacobs will flourish into this team. Now, I think at first it's going to take some time to get used to that offense because it's a completely different offense.
Oh, yeah. It is definitely going to take some time.
Now, as far as the Packers go, and Jordan Love obviously made progression last year, how do you think Love is going to do next year now that he has a running back who is really good and he'll be more equated to the offense with his second full start?
I honestly think Jordan Love is going to do a little bit better this year.
Yeah.
Maybe not take a huge step forward like he did last year, but as good of a player as you can be in the NFL, there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely.
Take it from Lamar Jackson's or Patrick Mahomes' perspective. They're two of the best players in the NFL right now as far as quarterbacks are concerned. But at the same time, both of them should know that there is room for improvement.
And to answer William here in the chat, that's a good question. Like, if I honestly am Chicago, William, I'm going to go with either the best rookie receiver or the best rookie running back, the best, collegiate running back or receiver, or if you want to go with defense, or an offensive lineman, I would get one of those pieces that could be a key acquisition to your team. And also to answer William here in the chat as well, yes, the UFL starts in a couple of weeks, folks. More football is on the way.
Yes, indeed.
March 30th will be the kickoff for the UFL's regular season. That will be very interesting. Now, William, with that being said, who would you go with as the first pick? Because to me, you got to give Fields at least one more year.
Me personally, as much attention as Caleb Williams has brought upon himself, whether it's been him or with his loud mouth of a father, wanting to say that the team that Caleb Williams goes to, he wants to have partial ownership. No, it's not going to be that easy. It's never going to be that easy. I almost want to see Caleb Williams become a bust at this point. because of all the attention that he thinks is going to be upon him just because he's projected as the number one overall draft pick for this year. But in all honesty, I can put so many other players, and not just quarterbacks, but other position players ahead of Caleb Williams right now because of how talented they are, because of the respect that they have amongst each other, because of the playmaking that they have. I could put so many players above Caleb Williams right now because Caleb Williams, to me, is being nothing but a major jerk off. And that's just my 2 cents.
It's a good point. Now, speaking of good, and Randy touched upon it when he was here and on the show for briefly, I think the Raiders have nailed it getting Gardner Minshew.
Oh, yeah.
He is a proven success story in the National Football League because as long as you stay committed to your craft, it doesn't make a damn what team you're on because he has had a overall pretty solid successful rate in the NFL, no matter where he's gone.
Oh, yeah. And yes, he's had a lot of up and down years, but every quarterback is going to have their share of up and down years. And Gardner Minshew is just one that he's been through a lot. He has been through a lot ever since he got, I want to say it was Jacksonville that drafted him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, yeah, he's definitely been through a lot. I mean, he's played for teams such as Jacksonville. He's played for Philadelphia. He's played for Indianapolis. And now he's going to be playing for Vegas. So,
another signing that just popped in my head. Jacoby Brissett going to the Patriots.
Yeah. So, I mean, I still think New England's going to go I still think New England's going to go quarterback in the draft since they have the number 3 overall pick. But at least Jacoby Brissett gives them a decent option for the time being.
Yeah, and Jacoby during his time with Indianapolis, he was very solid.
Yeah, and even with his time in Washington last year, he was very decent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was guiding us to comeback victories when Sam Howell couldn't play worth 2 cents.
That's right. That's right. Now, as far as Tony Pollard is concerned and going to the Tennessee Titans, how do you think he's going to do with not a great offensive line and not a great quarterback?
Well, I will say that is going to be a major thing of concern for Tennessee because that O-line has been one of the weakest O-lines in professional football over the past number of years. And now that Tony Pollard is going to have to pretty much take the reins and be the offensive leader of that team, I mean, can Pollard do it? Absolutely. But at the same time, can he do it by himself? No, he can't.
No.
And that's where the problem lies.
Because nobody in the situation with the Cowboys or the Titans win, in my opinion. Everybody loses in this situation.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Now, with that being said, when it comes to the Patriots and Mac Jones going to the Jaguars, you know there's going to be pressure now on Trevor Lawrence because if he's not playing at a high level, you know that Doug Peterson and company are going to be looking to possibly go to Jones if he's not playing great.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And honestly, I think Mac Jones going to Jacksonville, I mean, Randy did make a good point when he was on here for the few minutes that he was on, saying that Mac Jones still has some upside. But at the same time, I wonder if they pulled this trade off so that Mac Jones could learn from Trevor Lawrence. Because there's no doubt in my mind that Mac Jones is going to be the backup to Trevor Lawrence. And he's going to be the one to step up if Trevor Lawrence makes mistakes early in the season. But it honestly makes me wonder what Doug Peterson is going to do now that he has both Lawrence and Mac Jones as his quarterbacks. It honestly makes me wonder.
And sorry, I was just reading an article here. This is very interesting that the Cowboys were seeking to get Pollard back, but the turning point for Tony leaving Dallas and going to Nashville to the Titans was money, more money by the Titans offering him. And also to add to that, the Giants and the Vikings were interested in Pollard's services as well.
But you rolled your dice,
And you pay the price.
and yep, you roll the dice and pay the price.
And now the Cowboys are going to have to search somewhere elsewhere to find a running back because a lot of the top running backs are now gone.
Indeed. Pretty much all the top running backs are gone right now.
Jacobs gone. Barkley gone. Swift gone. Derrick Henry, of course, gone.
Eckler's gone.
Eckler's gone. Mixon's gone. Miles Henderson's still in the dumpster, the basement that is Carolina.
Yeah.
What's his face? Jones is gone.
Yep.
Obviously, Jacksonville, Atlanta still have their running backs. So yeah, the Cowboys are definitely screwed, folks. Now, with that, what a lot of these big moves that have happened the last couple of days, for you, what has been the most shocking signing in the last couple of days? Either, signing or trades. Which one for you has been the biggest shocker?
Man, that is a good question. I mean, there are a lot of moves that have been very puzzling, very shocking. But if I had to pick just one, man. If I had to pick just one that really surprised me the most up to this point, I would definitely say Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles.
And mine's a running back one as well. Mine is Derrick Henry going to the Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not as surprised with Derrick Henry going to the Ravens as I was with Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles. And let me tell you why. Derrick Henry, he has been looking to play for a contender for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Saquon Barkley has as well. But at the time that Saquon Barkley was looking around to find his new team, the Houston Texans, like I mentioned, at that time, were making a strong push to sign Saquon Barkley. But the fact that he completely snubbed them to go to the Giants' crosstown rival in the Philadelphia Eagles it honestly felt like a stab to the chest for that Houston franchise. But of course, now that's not the case because of them getting Joe Mixon via trade from Cincinnati. But like you mentioned, Steven, Saquon Barkley is a great running back. I'll give him that. But at the same time, it also causes concern because both Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts at some point last year battled injuries, and it cost them a couple games apiece. So, since they are coming off of those injuries, and seeing as how Philadelphia is coming off a lousy performance in the playoffs this past year, it concerns me. It concerns me for Philly. And I do have a couple of Philadelphia Eagles fans, and they're probably looking at me like I'm stupid right now, but I mean, I'm concerned. I really am concerned when it comes to Philadelphia. Because
I am too.
Philadelphia is definitely a team that could have easily won their second straight NFC East title last year. But because of that late season faltering stretch, they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it went to Dallas. And I just really want to see some more consistent play from Philadelphia right now. Because, like I mentioned earlier, if Philadelphia comes out in this new year and plays like they just don't want to be out on the field, then there's definitely going to be some early problems for Philadelphia. So I'm hoping, as much as I want to see Washington win the division this year, I still think we're kind of at least a couple years away from even thinking about being a potential suitor for the NFC East title. So, with that being said, I don't want to see Dallas win the division once again. And knowing Dallas, they're going to find some way to pull it off.
Ooh.
If they can. That is.
Real quick, Joey, I just came across this signing by Philadelphia. They are reuniting with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
That's a decent pickup. That is a decent pickup. But yeah, I mean,
He has signed a 3-year deal with Philadelphia that is worth a maximum of $33 million.
interesting.
That's a nice move by Philadelphia.
It is. But I really want to see Philadelphia start off the season with a bang. If they even want to think about challenging for the NFC East title this upcoming year in the NFL. And until I see that consistent play, I have my doubts.
Ooh, Jordan Poyer goes to New York.
Wait, who?
Or, I'm sorry, Jordan Poyer, right?
Oh
He
yeah,
goes
Jordan Poyer. Yep, he's leaving Buffalo, going to Miami.
Yep. Oh, and we forgot about to mention this one too, but obviously Hunter going to the Texans.
Yep.
And obviously, one more Green Bay Packers safety, Jonathan Owens, is going to Chicago.
See, Jonathan Owens. Ain't that Simone Biles' husband?
I think so.
Huh. So Simone Biles is going to have a new team to pull for this year.
This is the beauty of the tracker, is it's going up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yep, Jonathan Owens. Yep. Yeah, so
Obviously, we
Simone
talked about.
Biles is going to be trading in the green and gold for the orange and blue.
Obviously, Jeremy Chan. We talked about that one. Do, 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 do. Interesting. Oh, we forgot about this one too. Uh, uh, your Commanders made another key acquisition, and we briefly touched upon it, but with a former Cowboys player. And I know you're excited about that.
Who's that?
It is Dante Fowler.
Oh yeah, Dante Fowler. I forgot about him. That's right. I totally forgot that we got Dante Fowler. So yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
that's another big piece for that defense. And I'm telling you, Dan Quinn is doing a great job right now. As far
Gerald
as
Everett goes to Chicago as well.
yeah, Gerald Everett going to Chicago.
Oh boy, Giants has a new backup. Oh my God, the Giants have got Drew Lock as their backup quarterback. Now Denver has no quarterbacks. Oh my God.
I honestly don't know if the Giants are the biggest loser now or if it's still the Denver Broncos.
Oh my God. Obviously, Derrick Henry to Baltimore. Yes.
Let's see. The New York Giants are signing wide receiver slash kick returner Isaiah McKenzie from the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep, we forgot about that one. Ooh, Barrett to the Dolphins.
Oh yeah, Shaquille Barrett going to Miami.
Great move by Miami. All right, mixing the Texans. We talked about that one.
Let's see. Colts are signing former Dolphins defensive tackle Raekwon Davis.
Interesting.
Let's see. 49ers are signing former Browns defensive tackle Jordan Elliott to a 2-year deal.
If I'm saying this right, the Dolphins former tight end, Jasicki,
Oh yeah, Mike
he's
Gesicki.
going to
He
Cincinnati.
signed a 1-year deal with the Browns, didn't he?
No, Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati, yeah. Yep, Cincinnati.
Obviously, Mariota goes to Washington.
Yeah, I'm kind of questioning that move.
Yeah.
I'm kind of questioning that one.
Obviously, the news came down that J.J. Watt's brother has retired. Obviously, no, it's not T.J. Watt. Don't get your panties into Watt. It's Derek Watt.
Yeah, yes, Derek Watt. Let's see. Former New England Patriots wide receiver Devontae Parker inking a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the news coverage for the NFL. We definitely had a lot.
Yes, there has.
And we're going to have more to come next week.
Oh, yes. Next week, it's going to be action-packed, folks. It's going to be action-packed. And we told you it was going to be a busy NFL day. Because obviously with the off season beginning tomorrow and these contracts can become official. Ooh. Darius Williams is going back to the Rams.
Interesting.
Let's see. Daquan Jones signs back with Buffalo. And we talked about Gabe Davis leaving Buffalo. Kenneth Murray is going to Tennessee. And that's all I have so far. It's crazy. Like, it's not even official yet, folks. And all these players are signing to all these teams.
Yeah.
And obviously, William says here in the chat, Wilson to the Squealers. Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
And William answers here in the chat, who would he go with as a number 1 overall pick? And I think this could be my pick. He said if you're gonna go with an offensive tackle, or if you're gonna go with obviously Marvin Harrison Jr.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting.
Or outside linebacker, Mercedes, and or obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. is my pick.
We definitely shall see what will happen.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will, because it's just getting started, my friends. And obviously, like we touched upon, that we are on the road to WrestleMania, and it just keeps getting heated up every minute by every minute.
Yeah, and I do want to say real quick, I mean, obviously, everybody is wanting Cody Rhodes to dethrone Roman Reigns for the Universal title at WrestleMania. But based upon that promo that Cody Rhodes cut last night during that in-ring interview with Michael Cole, the fact that he was getting emotional, I mean, that just lets you know that Cody Rhodes needs to dethrone Roman Reigns. And if WWE is smart, then they will book it. They will make it happen.
It will be interesting to see what happens. And that segment on Friday in Dallas was very interesting.
Oh, very interesting. The fact that The Rock looked at Cody Rhodes and pretty much called him a mistake.
And then Cody gave The Rock his receipt. The
Yep.
slap. Payback.
Slap the skin off his face.
Yep. And we are heading down the home stretch of the road to WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. And now we're starting to see these matches come together. And obviously last night, Sami Zayn won the gauntlet, and he will be challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia.
Oh, yes. And not to mention, they have finally started announcing the 2024 Hall of Fame class.
Yes, they have. And obviously we talked about it last week, but Paul E. Heyman is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep, the good old-fashioned walrus. The Paulus.
The wise man.
Let's see. Paul Heyman is going to be inducted. One of the greatest Japanese women's wrestlers of all time, Bull Nakano, is going to be inducted. The team of I cannot think of their names, but obviously they are relatives of Bray Wyatt. The U.S. Express will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And one of the biggest names ever, not only in wrestling history or boxing history, but fighting history in general, the one and only Muhammad Ali is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. So that's
very interesting.
A big move.
Very interesting.
Oh, yeah, and this is probably the last thing I'm going to have on the show tonight because we need to start wrapping up here in just a little bit.
Yep.
But there is a report that is going around, and it has now been confirmed that on July the 20th, live on the streaming service of Netflix, we're going to be seeing Logan Paul's brother, Jake Paul, stepping into the squared circle to take on the late, or not really the late, but the great Iron Mike Tyson.
Please, for the love of God.
And I'm telling you right now, if Jake Paul wins this match or wins this fight, I'm rioting. Because
Please, Tyson, knock him out.
Because the fact that Jake Paul continues to win these matches, I'm honestly starting to believe that he is paying these referees, and that's why he's winning these matches. I honestly believe that.
In a real world, 25, 30 years ago, Tyson in his prime would eat a lot.
25 to 30 years ago, Jake Paul wouldn't even last 5 seconds with Iron Mike Tyson.
Please, Tyson.
Please,
knock
Iron Mike Tyson. Please
knock him out.
Do us all a favor. Knock Jake Paul's teeth down his throat. Please. As a matter of fact, knock Jake Paul's teeth all the way down to his butt so he can bite himself in the butt for even wanting this match.
You want to step into the ring with one of the greatest pound for pound professional boxers and do this type of fight, you're gonna pay.
You're gonna pay.
So,
and plus the fact that this is gonna be in a boxing ring where Mike Tyson thrives. I mean, yeah, this ain't gonna be no UFC rules match. This ain't gonna be inside an octagon. It's gonna be inside the squared circle. And I hope Mike Tyson knocks Jake Paul's eyeballs out of his sockets, and I hope he knocks his teeth down his throat all the way down to his legs or his butt. As a matter of fact, I hope he beats Jake Paul so bad that he forces him into retirement.
I hope that Mike Tyson humbles him.
Yes, big time.
Because he needs it big time. He needs a good old-fashioned ass whipping of a lifetime by one of the greatest pound-for-pound boxers in history. And with that being said, I think that's a great way to end the show.
Yep, so I'm going to go in and give my final thoughts here. It was great being back here on the show, as I mentioned earlier, after having to miss last week. It was great being back here tonight, talking all the NFL, or most of the NFL signings that have taken place over the past couple of days. Talking a little bit about baseball, basketball, Selection Sundays coming up.
Oh, speaking of, before we wrap up, do you have any baseball things that you want to talk about as we are approaching to the start of the season?
No, not really. I think baseball's been pretty quiet. So
yep. Go ahead.
So awesome job. Yes, I know it's just a 2-man crew tonight, just like it was just a 2-man crew last week. But next week we should have Ezra joining us, and hopefully we will have Kevin joining us back soon. And Ezra, just in case you are watching live or are you going to be checking the show a little bit later, prayers and condolences are going up to you and your family, man, for the loss of your uncle. I know it's definitely hard to lose a family member, because we've all been there at some point of our lives. So prayers and condolences are going up to you and your family for this rough time. But in the meantime, enjoy the sports, enjoy whatever y'all decide you want to enjoy. As we get closer to yet another amazing weekend. And that's it for me. Steven, you know how to do this, brother, so do it the best way you can.
Yes, I will. I'll do a better job than the Cowboys had this offseason. But with that being said, Yep, I'm gonna finish strong on like the Cowboys do in the playoffs. Oops, sorry. 2 Cowboy burns in a row. I don't care. But anyways, great show with you tonight, Joey, and thank you for Randy coming on, joining us here tonight for a little bit, taking Hijacker's gimmick and hijacking the show. I know Mike is very proud of that. And again, like Joey said, we send our thoughts, our prayers, our condolences to Ezra and his family for the loss of Ezra's uncle. And also, again, to William, thank you for joining us here in the chat. And again, to you, hope you have a happy birthday tomorrow there, sir. And tomorrow, for those of us that are wrestling fans, we will be tuning into AEW Dynamite as they present big business down there in Boston, Massachusetts. And we shall see what happens, because we think that Mercedes Monet is going to be debuting in All Elite Wrestling, and if she's not, well then I don't know what to say, Tony Khan. But anyways, you can follow us on Twitter at Owen_sports show, Facebook.com/A Nation Sports Show, YouTube.com/A Nation Sports Show, and on Instagram at ON Sports Show. And also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook.com/Nation's Corner, and on the old YouTube at YouTube.com/The Nation's Corner. And don't forget to check out the show this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific time, where the guys and gal recap the week in professional wrestling. And with that being said, for Joey Thornton, for Kevin Roy, for Randy Gyron, for Ezra Vickery, for William Gyron, everybody involved here in the sports show, and Hijacker Micro Video Guy, I have been your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand, and we thank you very much for joining us here tonight for a great edition of our Nation Sports Show. Enjoy the sports this weekend. Enjoy the time with your family and friends. Hope everybody has a happy St. Patty's Day weekend this weekend, and enjoy the sports this weekend, folks. Take care. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Peace.